21-year-old computer science student at Fagetown University. Currently in her third year of school, she has now received a co-op placement working for BizTech Incorporated, a leading business development and technology consulting firm in the Fagetown area. In the past, BizTech Incorporated has exclusively provided IT programming and database consulting services to companies in the financial, technology, and airline industries, but has since recognized major opportunities across all industries to develop and promote robust, customizable online courses for corporate environments of all shapes and sizes. As a new player in the e-learning and instructional design market, the senior management team for BizTech has recognized that they will not only have to sell their company's ability to provide quality consulting and courseware material, but also more importantly, the benefits and impacts that potential companies will glean from their services. In preparation for a major presentation to a large potential client, Emily's manager has asked her to study, research, and present the corporate impacts of online training for company employees. As Emily's presentation will be incorporated into a larger company strategic marketing campaign, she will not be presenting directly to clients, but rather directly to senior management for approval. Emily is free to present her findings in whatever way she chooses and has exactly 3 weeks to be ready. With 3 weeks to the due date, as a co-op student, Emily feels a bit nervous, but is anxious to prove herself to potential employers in the hopes of being hired post-graduation. Now, Emily has never studied education or e-learning prior to this assignment, so she decides to do an initial Google search using e-learning as her search term keyword. Emily finds that her initial search of e-learning returned over 13 million hits. Access questions. Do you believe it would be more beneficial if Emily took a look back at the internet's role in the workplace training of employees? Support your argument. What process would you have taken to derive keywords for an initial search? Are there any other detailed questions Emily could have asked her manager before immediately starting her research? With 3 weeks to the due date, Emily decides to review the e-learning page from Wikipedia as a starting point. She believes that this will give her more background knowledge on the topic and familiarize herself with the concepts. Access analysis questions. Do you believe that Wikipedia is the best place to start when looking to understand core concepts of a subject? What other sources other than Wikipedia could Emily have used to further familiarize herself with the basic concepts of online learning? What keywords do you think Emily should use to search the internet for the best results? In an effort to narrow her search, Emily decides that the focus from Wikipedia is predominantly on the field of education, not necessarily for corporate environments. So she decides to do another search that specifies the following keywords: corporate, e-learning, and impacts. From there, she moves on to evaluating the sources that she retrieves. Emily was happy to have actually found articles that speak to the benefits and impacts of e-learning and were written in the year 2014. However, Emily discovered that all her sources were blogs, and she begins to doubt whether they're actually reliable or not. With 2.5 weeks to the due date, although Emily has found articles and they have some valuable information, she feels as though she doesn't quite have enough information and perspectives to complete the presentation effectively. So she decides to go see her manager, Phil Harmon, so he can provide a bit more project focus and context. During her discussion with Phil, he indicates that senior management is looking for a 5 to 10 minute presentation that covers the following: both positive and negative impacts of corporate e-learning, as well as real-world experiences and perspectives based on research and reports from other environments and/or companies that have successfully implemented online training. 1 week has almost gone by, and with some added context from Phil, Emily realizes that she will need to expand her search beyond Google. This, she hopes, will provide her with much more information-rich and trustworthy sources. So Using her university's online library system, Emily searches for scholarly articles using the keywords she brainstormed earlier: corporate e-learning and impacts. She's then happy to find scholarly articles from her library search. The first being corporate e-learning impact on employees. The second being calculating the return on investment ROI of corporate e-learning. And the third article, success factors of online training. Analysis questions. What other methods of evaluation could Emily have used to evaluate her first three articles? Elaborate on how you would evaluate the articles using these methods. Besides just speaking with Phil, should Emily have consulted with anyone else from the company to get more information? If so, who would you recommend? Would a mix or variety of resources be better for Emily to use? If so, what types of sources would you suggest? What are the advantages and disadvantages of using blogs as one of Emily's research sources? With just 2 weeks until the due date, as this work assignment is in addition to her other daily responsibilities, 1 week has now gone by and Emily is definitely feeling under pressure. During her weekly status meeting with Phil, Emily reviews the articles and information she has found and is surprised when Phil asks how she has determined whether the information is reliable. Phil is concerned that unreliable information may come back to negatively affect the company if potential clients cannot trust their research or feel the information is outdated. Back at her desk, Emily checks her chosen articles for the dates that they were posted and or created. A request from Phil. Let's look at a few more analysis questions. What tools and methods would you recommend Emily use to properly assess the reliability and credibility of the information she has gathered? Describe an approach to how Emily could investigate the credibility of the authors of the articles. How would you recommend Emily distinguish the information collected as fact or opinion? With only 1 week to the due date, Emily reviews her chosen articles and discovers that the scholarly articles were published 2 years ago, while the first set of articles she found, the blogs, were all written this year. Emily decides to still go ahead and consolidate all the information from both the first set of articles and the scholarly articles for her presentation. Based on that consolidation and integration, she comes up with the following list of positive impacts and negative impacts to corporate e-learning. For the positive impacts, the increase in job satisfaction, the reports of greater job efficiencies, improved job performance, increased productivity, better retention of knowledge, faster business adaptation, and 24/7 availability for training systems. For the negative impacts, the fact that some corporate educators and employees are opposed to change, as well as increased IT costs. Analysis questions. How would you have organized the information in preparation for the presentation? What do you believe is missing from Emily's research? Should Emily focus only on the positive impacts of e-learning, or both? Does Emily need to research more on the negative impacts of e-learning? What would you have done differently? Did Emily make the right choice to use the first set of articles?
With only 3 days left until the project is due, Emily has compiled and integrated her research and now has to decide what would be the best format to communicate the information to BizTech Incorporated. With no predefined templates that she can use for this type of presentation, Emily has the creative freedom that she needs to make a choice what style would be best for the project. Emily has to ask herself a few questions before choosing a format for the project. How professional does she want it? Based on her audience, what format would be appropriate? Interactivity. How does she want her audience to be with the presentation? Does she want them to be involved or not? For example, would discussion questions help for the interactive portion? And statistics. Based on the amount or type of information, what format would be most appealing for them to be put in? Emily first decides to present her research findings in a very simple Microsoft Word document handout to everyone at BizTech. She presents the return on investment details in point form to show her audience the pros of e-learning in a very corporate environment. Emily feels that this will be the best way to display the full extent of information and research that she has done on the subject. Alongside this information, she decides to display supporting statistics in a standard table where only tables were used and no graphical elements. Time to analyze the steps that Emily has made so far. Why do you think Emily decided to choose the Microsoft Word format? Do you think that the visuals for the statistics/information is important in a presentation like this? If yes, why? What are the positives and negatives for using a Microsoft Word document for this presentation? Do you think that this method of utilizing handouts will be effective in engaging her audience? Why or why not? After creating her Word document, she realizes that her document is not very appealing to the eyes, and thus wants a more engaging presentation. Due to this, she decides to take a slide approach because it will be better at captivating the attention of her audience. Using this method, she is able to cover all of the material she has in a more attractive way than the Microsoft Word format. She realizes that keeping her audience engaged is important to make the long-lasting impact regarding the positives of e-learning, and in general, creating a very memorable presentation. She decides to change the table of statistics found in the Microsoft Word file to a series of graphs. Her new PowerPoint presentation is very effective at covering all the aspects and benefits of e-learning, dedicating slides to all of the important subject matter, including definitions, benefits, success factors, limitations, and social and economic impacts. She also decides that supporting charts and tables will be used to demonstrate the positive impacts that online learning has in a corporate environment. She decides that the PowerPoint will be her final presentation format. What could Emily have done more effectively in creating her presentation? Are there any alternative presentation formats that would have been more effective? Why or why not? Are there any scenarios where the Microsoft Word document would have been more effective than the Microsoft PowerPoint format? Should Emily have made her presentation more interactive? And if so, how? Time for analysis after the presentation is finally over. How well would you predict that Emily's presentation went? Support your reasoning with claims and evidence. What could have been done during the last day to improve her presentation? Why and how would have that helped?